Hey, this is Gene. I said I would talk about Master and Commander, the 4K. I'd give an actual review on its qualities or lack of qualities in my other video. You guys watched that video. I got like 300 views on it. Thank you. For someone on my channel, that's a decent amount. And I said I was going to give you my unbiased opinion about it. I've seen this movie many, many times from every format. And regardless of what I'm going to say in this review, I was going to buy this 4K anyway. Kyle's coming upstairs to give me something to drink. I'm not sure if he's going to stick around, probably not. But so I just want to address two of the biggest reviewers that have been out there. Shane Lee, who is a professional person in the audio video spectrum, been there for years and years and years. Most would say he's an expert in his field. Sometimes I disagree with him on some things when it comes to when he reviews certain 4Ks. But normally, because he does so much and he compares it to other things and other films that's on film that become on 4K, I listened to his review. I was kind of disturbed by it. I wanted this to be a great release. So I just took it with a grain of salt. I have a different setup than he has. I have a Sony. It's older. You probably would have to compare it to probably the Bravi 3 now. It's a edge lit TV. It's not very bright. The HDRs are not great on it, but this movie doesn't really use HDR much anyway. It's kind of like a muted palette. The other person is Jeff Russo. I don't know if I'm taking his name. This is a guy that's fairly popular without any real experience doing any of this stuff. His channel just shut up. Don't know, understand why. It's weird how certain people get more views than other people do. I never tried to do anything like that. I don't have the ability with speaking because of the strokes I've had. And he's had really, what's the word? Probably a naive or didn't really understand what he was talking about, but he's actually bought more and more stuff. You know, he's got I think he's got an OLED. He's got two subwoofers, two SVS subwoofers. And listen to Shane, he said that it looks better than it's ever looked on Blu-ray, and I'll talk about that. So you think at that point it's worth upgrading. And again, I've had this in every format available, and I was going to buy it regardless, so I bought it. I think the Steelbook is okay looking. It's not perfect or anything, but I know my complaints on it is all it does is really show him in the ship. There's so much more in the movie and what it really represents, and it's not really about him per se. He's part of a hierarchy that he talks about in the movie, that he was a young person on a ship somewhere and he idolized the person above him. Anyway, that's how men do, but I'm not going into that thing. Shane, on his review, and I'm assuming he looked both probably on his projector and also in his TV, because he has a newer Sony, and he made his decisions, and he said like between 8 or just below 7 to an 8 for video, and the same thing with I did 7 to 8, and 8 for audio. And the biggest issue that we've had is that we've heard that this audio track has been diminished somewhat. Jeff came from another area. He said that Disney, and it is a Disney thing. I was looking, if you remember, if you actually watched the first video, I said that, where does it say Disney? Disney did this, and they've done this before where they've actually stripped down the LE a little bit less. And he said that they're doing this. Now, apparently he might have connections, but he thinks that most people just have a sound bar, and that's what they deal with. And that the people that have several subwoofers or bigger speakers, they're the minority. And we are. I mean, I have 2 subwoofers. I've had as much as 5 in here. But I have the DVD. I pull that out. I have the Blu-ray. I have the Blu-ray here, and I have the 4K. So these are my. I think that that's a naive take, and I'll just say this before I get to my review. It's great if they want to do that. If they're trying to help out the normal home theater person at home, that's fine. But you should never just say, we're going to strip it down to, there should be another selection that you can say just optimized for soundboard usage to brings out more because this has an Atmos thing. So maybe they could optimize it with, I don't know, a Sony soundbar that uses all this stuff. Sony has stuff like this stuff in the box type of thing that they do. They all have it because women don't really like seeing big speakers everywhere. And I've had to change mine. I mean, I've had my Klipsch RF7s, 3s in my front stage, but I moved it. It's over there, and I can't really show you that. But I have the smaller ones, the 600s in my front stage. But I do have the RF 64 for my center channel because it's one of the best I've ever heard, and I'm not going to get rid of it. And it somewhat matches with the 600s. And I have two smaller SVS subs, the 2000s, and they go in this room probably below 220,000, probably about 16 when it really goes down. There's a little bit of gain in this room, although it's kind of open, but you do have a little bit of gain in here, and you can feel it. It's not as infrasonic that you can get with certain speakers. You can feel it in your chest. I don't really have that, but everywhere else I feel it. So I understand what he's saying, but I think that that's another naive point he's making. And a lot of people in the comments told him that. And a lot of people go after Shane because he's very specific, but he's also a guy who likes grain. He likes grain. And if he thought that the movie was good and had all the good attributes of a good transfer, but it still had grain, he would still give it a high score. So you take that with what it is. I think one that actually has a lot of experience, actually can calibrate their own equipment, deals with some of the greatest or most expensive equipment out there. I'm not saying his 100% right all the time, and Jeff might be right for 95% of the people out there. This might be a good transfer. I said the same thing when I bought my TV. I said for 95% of the people, it's fine. I got it for a very good price. Now, again, I could get a similar TV right now from Sony, and I usually stay with Sony for the bigger TV because their processors are the best. And we still have very shit that comes through that we watch. 720, even the 1080 sometimes look like shit. These processors in the Sonys, this is 4 or 5 years old, and it's still one of the better ones. Even against the new TCLs or Hisense, my TV on normal TV, normal Comcast stuff that's older, let's say, it does a better job processing it. Now, it can't really compete with the upper levels of the TCLs or even the Sonys at this point. But let's get back to the review. I'm fine that I bought it, but it's just a very minor uptick when it comes to video. It just is. I sat and watched it for about 45 minutes. And again, this is a movie that once I watch it, I have to keep watching it. And I kept saying to myself, I'm just going to keep watching it. I'm going to keep watching it. But at some point I said, no, I have to do this and be honest about it. So I put it off to the side. I took out the Blu-ray, and I looked at it, and it's just a very subtle uptick in quality. Now, is it better? Yes. Is it worth $40, which we have to pay for something like this? I would say no, but as a completist, and I want to have it on 4K, I'll just say what I said in my first video is that I would hope at some point that a boutique label like Arrow or Imprint or who else? Shout, all the ones that are out there that sometimes, I mean, this is a big release. I don't know if they'll be able to get it, but they can actually give it more. Now, the question is, could they do anything more with that print? Is it just as good as it can be because how it was originally filmed? And that's the only issue that I don't know. There are soft issues in the movie, but it was that way on the Blu-ray and on the DVD. Now, I had to go find it. I have seriously, I have 3,000 discs, maybe more. Most of them are Blu-ray at this point, but I do have a lot of DVDs, and I had to go find it. I mean, I've had the Blu-ray of the Master and Commander out to I can get access to. Now I got rid of a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff in storage, not really in storage. They're like 10 minutes from me or 10 feet from me. I can go get it, but they're in like those little things you get at Costco for $8. Those little coats, and I have everything categorized so I can go get it. And but the DVDs I didn't do that, but I did that. So I watched all of it. Now clearly the Blu-ray is better, but you got to remember that Master and Commander Blu-ray was one of the first ones that came out, first generation of Blu-rays that came out, and it's good. It's better than the DVD. But the only reason I brought a DVD because I wanted to see what the 5.1 sounded like. It is more of a more throaty presentation at the bottom end, whereas the new mixed is more spacious. So I would say, and the audio sign, it is a tick up, but it may not satisfy the guys that really like the bass and the stuff that you actually feel it. There is some issues that Jeff brought up that when it gets so bombastic, you can't really hear the dialogue. But I would think that that's probably the intent of the director, because if you're on a ship and you're getting killed by these big cannonballs, you're probably not going to be able to hear people around you. Now, it makes it difficult trying to listen to it. And as I get older in my life, my frequencies go lower and it's hard for me to hear certain things. But if you have a decent amount of an AVR, you can go and you can massage this. You just shouldn't have to do this every time. But sometimes if it's a movie that you really, really like, you go in there and you listen to a little bit of it and you just help up the center channel. If you really want to bass up the your subwoofers, you can do that as well. Some subwoofers have a TSB on it that can change things. But overall, it's decent. It's not really worth $40. And I have to say, I'm going to err on the side that what Shane is saying is probably the real thing. I don't believe that studios are just looking at people and saying, we're going to downsize our audio format for people who have sound bars. And if they believe that, then what they really should do is just allow another track that has the entire thing. You know, in audio, we talk about losses or lossless type of audio, that everything that was in there, we don't want to compress at all. We want it all to go through your system. And if your system can't deal with it, well, that's your system issue. But we should have the ability to listen to that. And we're talking about a big release like this. It's not Jaws, or it's not, but it's considered one of the greatest masterpieces of the century. I think it came out you know, this was right after he did Gladiator, and it is a very good movie that really deserves a really good release. And it looked like all they did is just poured it over the 1080, pushed it up to 4K, and this is what you get. Now, this might look a lot better on OLED, and there's a good possibility that it is, because OLED doesn't have to be so bright that this might bring out more stuff and you see more detail and all that stuff. But there are movies that were made at that time and before that on film that look unbelievable on my TV, on my 4K player, my old Sony, my big beast one that I got, the 800, going on for 10 years now. And Shining, 2001, pretty much all of Kubrick's releases look unbelievably on this TV with that 4K going through my Marantz. This should look somewhat, but I understand you have to look at how the design or the director wanted to see it. The I can't say the word. Wanted it to look like, and if that's his intent, but we don't have that on here. There is no looked at and, well, I'd have to go look. I could be wrong, but I don't think there was a time when it says, because Arrow always has this, and these other places said, observed by the cinematographer or the director, and they approved it. I don't think this happened with this. I mean, so when people get upset with why Cameron didn't bring his stuff out, still upset that Dances of Wolves hasn't come out. Obviously a 4K that should be out there. Sometimes this is why. I think that a lot of people are still going to buy this, and if you've never bought the movie, you should still buy it. But if you have the Blu-ray and you're tight on money, I would just wait. I hate to say that, I really do. I mean, it's in my in my collection, and I'll cherish this and all that. I will not sell this, but it should have been better. You know, when you get movies that come out on the Columbia Classics type of thing, and they take a lot of good things about it, and this is a big studio, and they don't do anything like this on something like that. It's just unfortunate. So I just wanted to put it out there. I'm still going to give away the code. I know if you've been talking this long, I haven't talked about the code. So if you actually listen to me, you know you've been watching this for 16 minutes, then I'll just take it to the first person. I asked for 100 likes. I got like 12, but I had 300 people watch my video, and I love that. I talk about other things on this channel that are more controversial. I don't really think this is controversial. I think most people actually looked at this. I think the guy on Twitter said he gave it a 5 out of 5 for audio and a 4.7 out of 5 for video. I don't think he actually seen the movie before. Now, again, I saw this in the movie, and it is a muted palette. And maybe I'm asking for too much, but it looks just almost exactly like the Blu-ray. It's a little bit better. But again, I don't have a perfect display to watch it on. And if I was watching an OLED or one of the new TVs, top level ones, I might see more to it. Well, that's basically all I have to say. To me, if you don't have the movie, buy it. It's still the best it's ever looked. But if you have it on Blu-ray, I think you'll probably just wait until maybe somebody else comes along and says, I'm going to go and do this. It probably might be 10 years, though. So if it becomes available and it's not god-awful too expensive, well, go ahead. But anyway, that's all I had to say. Let me know in the comments below. If you actually picked up the movie, let me know what you think you got. Let me give me based on a 5 out of 5 type of thing. I'm probably say for video, probably 3.5, which is basically okay. It somewhat resembles what I saw in the movie when I saw it in the theater. Audio, a movie that was one of the greatest audio files when it came out. It was a 5 out of 5. I'll probably give this a 4.5. It's still a good audio. It's just not as good as it probably could have been. Before I drop everything here, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want. And also, just give me a reason why you want my code, and I'll just give it to you. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.